The Aurora Dawn drifted silently through the void, its engines humming a steady, reassuring rhythm. Captain Lena Holt sat in the command chair, her boots resting on the console as she sipped a cup of lukewarm coffee. Around her, the crew moved through their routines with practiced ease, unaware that they were about to make history, though, of course, none of them cared much for history. Nav computer, check hypergate coordinates, Lena said casually, not even bothering to look at the display. Coordinates confirmed, the ship's AI replied, its tone smooth and mechanical. Destination, uncharted sector 9G. Estimated jump in 3 minutes. Lena raised an eyebrow. Uncharted? That's ambitious. Engineer Marcus, lounging in a maintenance hatch, grinned. Ambition is my middle name. Well, technically it isn't, but it should be. The crew laughed softly, unaware that their light-hearted chatter was about to be drowned out by the most unusual event of their careers. The hypergate shimmered, energy crackling around the triangular portal. Lena double-checked the stabilizers, though she already knew the numbers were slightly off. Slightly off often meant a detour, and detours were part of the charm of space travel. Jump in 3, 2, 1. The AI counted down. A flash of light, a violent tug on the ship's hull, and suddenly the Aurora Dawn was somewhere else entirely. The stars outside were unfamiliar. Nebulas of colors no human had ever named swirled across the void. Massive ships, clearly much larger and more sophisticated than anything humans had ever built, drifted around a massive space station. It was not on any star chart, and the size of it alone made the human crew pause, just for a moment. Lena? Marcus's voice was tense for once. Where are we? Captain Holt leaned forward, studying the viewport. Her eyes narrowed slightly, but her expression stayed calm. I think we just dropped into someone else's neighborhood, and it looks, well, imperial. Before anyone could react, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. The ship's sensors were detecting hundreds of other vessels converging toward them, moving with perfect coordination and deadly precision. Lena, we're being hailed, called Communications Officer Juno. A holographic projection materialized in front of the crew. A tall, blue-skinned alien with golden eyes glared at them. His uniform was precise, decorated with badges Lena didn't recognize. His voice was sharp, dripping authority. Unauthorized vessel in the heart of the Galactic Empire. Identify yourselves. Lena took a sip of coffee, set it down, and stood. She walked to the center of the bridge, her hands resting lightly on the console. She smiled, a friendly, unfazed smile, even as dozens of alien vessels hovered around them like predators circling prey. Hi, she said. We're humans. I think we got lost. Sorry about that. The aliens froze, or at least Lena assumed they did. She had never seen them blink that slowly. You are unafraid? The alien demanded, his tone rising. You do not submit to the Empire? We didn't even know there was an Empire, Lena said, shrugging. We just took a wrong jump. Happens all the time. The crew whispered among themselves, mostly in amusement. Marcus leaned over the console. Captain, are we really just going to not panic? Why panic? Lena replied, her voice calm. Panic never helped anyone. Besides, they haven't shot yet. Let's see what they do next. The alien's eyes narrowed. Guards! Detain them at once! 3 massive ships detached from the station and moved toward the Aurora Dawn at alarming speed. But the humans didn't flinch. Instead, Lena gestured lazily to Marcus. Marcus, take the port shield offline for a second. I want them to scan us closer. What? Captain, that's... Relax, I'm human. We don't panic. The shields lowered slightly, allowing the alien sensors to sweep the ship. Energy beams probed the hull. Warnings sounded on the bridge, and the crew stiffened. But Lena simply folded her arms and leaned against the console. The alien commander's voice came over the intercom again, sharp and tense. You are in violation of Empire law. Prepare to be boarded. Captain Holt grinned. Well, if they want to meet us, they can meet us. Let's not give them a reason to think we're dangerous. Minutes later, a docking clamp connected to the Aurora Dawn, and the crew braced themselves. A group of tall, imposing aliens marched aboard. They were armed and perfectly uniformed, their movements precise and intimidating. Lena stepped forward, hands behind her back. "Hello. Welcome to our ship." The aliens froze. Then one spoke. You are not resisting?" "We don't really do resistance," Lena said. "It's exhausting. We just try to survive and figure things out as we go." The lead alien's eyes narrowed again. "Explain yourselves." Juno, the communications officer, whispered, "Captain, they might actually arrest us." Lena waved a hand dismissively. "Let them try. Humans adapt." The alien commander gestured to the rest. "Escort them to the control deck. They must be contained." Marcus muttered, "Contained? Are we like pets now?" "Maybe," Lena said with a smile. "I hope they feed us biscuits." The aliens didn't understand the joke. Humans, Lena knew, were confusing to every species in the galaxy. They laughed at danger, asked questions no one thought to ask, and remained calm when everyone else panicked. It was a survival skill, though most species interpreted it as insanity. The humans were led to the Empire's administrative hub, a vast room with hovering platforms, holographic displays, and alien officials everywhere. They were surrounded, but none of the humans panicked. They made small talk as they walked, asking questions about architecture, materials, and the strange uniforms. One curious alien child peeked from behind a pillar. Lena noticed and waved. "Hi there. Nice armor. Can I touch it?" The child blinked and ran away. The officials whispered among themselves. Clearly, humans were unlike anything they had ever seen. An officer finally approached. "You must answer our questions. Failure to comply will result in severe punishment." Lena leaned casually against a pillar. "Severe punishment? We've survived asteroid storms, pirate raids, and a hypergate misjump that sent us halfway across the galaxy. I think we can handle you." The officers exchanged nervous glances. No other species had ever treated the Empire's authority like this. Humans were unafraid. Meanwhile, Marcus wandered over to a console and started pressing buttons. "What does this do?" "Don't touch that," a nearby officer shouted. Marcus shrugged. "Just looking. Curious minds, you know?" Surprisingly, nothing exploded. The console adjusted the environmental controls. The alien officers gasped. Humans were meddling with technology they considered highly sensitive, and nothing bad happened. Lena chuckled. "See? Humans improvise. It's kind of our thing." The crew spent the next hour walking through the Empire's hub, answering questions, asking questions, and treating everything like a normal day at work. Slowly, officials began whispering. Something about humans was different. They weren't afraid. They weren't submissive. They didn't beg or panic. They were unflappable. By the end of the visit, the Empire had decided on a temporary arrangement. The humans would remain in the hub under observation, with one alien liaison assigned to them. That liaison, Therian, was meticulous, formal, and clearly uncomfortable with the humans' casual attitude. Therian attempted to lecture them on proper behavior. Lena listened, nodded politely, and then asked questions that made the rules seem strange, confusing, and even a little pointless. Marcus accidentally broke one minor protocol by adjusting a holographic display, and when Therian scolded him, he smiled and said, "We humans like to experiment. You should try it sometime." Therian was speechless. He had expected fear, submission, or at least anxiety. Instead, he found curiosity, calmness, and laughter. As night fell over the hub, the humans gathered in their temporary quarters. Lena looked out at the stars through the massive observation window. "You know," she said, "I think we're going to like it here. This empire is orderly, but we're humans. Order is flexible." Marcus laughed. "Flexible is my middle name, remember?" Juno shook her head. "Captain, we could get arrested tomorrow, executed the day after, and you're still calm." "Why panic over what might happen?" Lena said with a shrug. "We adapt, we survive. And if they try anything, we improvise." Little did they know, the Empire was already buzzing with rumors. Humans had arrived and walked unafraid. They had ignored orders, laughed at warnings, and questioned authority without fear. Across the galaxy, word would spread quickly. Humans were not only bold, they were unpredictable. And in the heart of the Galactic Empire, unpredictability was a dangerous, fascinating thing. Lena sipped her coffee, smiled, and muttered under her breath, "Accidentally in the Empire, and totally fine." For the first time in centuries, the Empire realized that fear was not universal, and that some species, like humans, simply didn't have it. The morning sun, or what the Empire called its artificial daylight cycle, filled the observation deck of the administrative hub. The humans, now officially under observation, moved with the same casual confidence they had displayed since arriving. Captain Lena Holt stretched, her hands behind her head, and looked out at the sprawling city of the Empire's central station. Massive towers of glass and steel reflected streams of light from distant stars. Ships of every shape and size moved gracefully between platforms. "Impressive," Marcus said, leaning against the railing. "And terrifying if you think about how many rules govern all of this." Lena chuckled. "Rules are suggestions until they interfere with survival or curiosity. Then they get optional." Their liaison, Therian, appeared beside them, his posture rigid. "Captain Holt, please. This is a place of law and order. Your continued disregard for protocols is alarming." Lena looked at him, unbothered. "We're not alarming. We're human. That's different." Therian's face twitched slightly, as though he were trying to understand her. For the first time, he realized that different didn't just mean unique. It meant dangerously unshakable. The humans' first assignment was simple, or at least, that's what the Empire intended. They were to learn the basic customs of the station, understand local behavior, and avoid creating incidents. For the humans, the assignment felt more like a guided tour. They wandered through the public markets, where dozens of alien species traded rare minerals, food, and technology. Other visitors stared at them in amazement. A human walking through a crowded alien bazaar without fear was something the Empire's citizens had never seen. A tall, spindly alien with 4 arms approached them. "These humans, you do not bow, you do not hide, you speak loudly in public." "Yep," Lena replied, smiling. "That's humans for you. Loud, honest, and curious. Sometimes we overdo it." The alien officer recoiled. "You ignore social hierarchy?" "We just think it's polite to talk to people instead of standing silently," Marcus added. He reached out to examine a small floating device at a stall. "What's this do?" The alien looked horrified. "Do not touch." Marcus twisted it gently, and a small light flashed. The vendor gasped. You understand its function immediately?" Marcus shrugged. "We're quick learners, and we're humans. Curious minds, remember?" The humans continued walking, laughing, asking questions, and learning at their own pace. Everywhere they went, whispers spread. Citizens who had never interacted with humans before told stories. They are bold, fearless, unafraid of authority. By midday, the humans had inadvertently caused a minor diplomatic stir. In the Empire's central square, a group of officers had gathered to conduct a ceremonial inspection of new recruits. Lena and her crew wandered right through the formation, stopping to admire a display of holographic stars. An officer barked orders. "Halt! Identify yourselves." Lena turned to the officer with a grin. "We're humans, lost, curious, and kind of wandering." The officer's eyes widened. Do you disrespect the ceremony?" "Not disrespect," Lena replied. "Just participating differently." The officers were flustered. Protocols were precise and absolute, but the humans did not hesitate, did not bow, and did not panic. They smiled, asked polite questions, and even made a few light-hearted jokes about the precision of Empire ceremonies. By evening, reports had reached the Empire's higher council. Humans were creating fascination. Species across the station began observing them from a distance, eager to understand this strange behavior. In the humans' temporary quarters, Marcus tinkered with a console that controlled environmental settings. Lights, sound systems, and temperature controls. All of them responded to his curiosity. "Be careful, Marcus," Therian warned, arms crossed. "These systems are restricted. You could cause a catastrophe." Marcus smiled. "Or make life easier. Watch this." He adjusted the climate system slightly. Temperatures became more comfortable. Sounds of distant star traffic were softened. Even the lighting changed to a more relaxing shade. Therian's eyes widened. "You improved it?" "Yep," Marcus said. "Humans love improving things, even if the thing already works." Meanwhile, Captain Holt was speaking with other officers, discussing the Empire's starship construction techniques. She asked simple questions that no one else had considered: why certain designs were favored over others, how efficiency was measured, and why creativity was discouraged in certain ship models. Empire engineers were stunned. Lena's questions were not challenges. They were insights disguised as curiosity. Slowly, they realized the humans were teaching them something without intending to. That afternoon, an unexpected event occurred. A cargo ship had malfunctioned in the lower docking bay, threatening to collide with a civilian transport. Panic spread among the stationed officers. Lena watched calmly. "We got this," she said, moving toward the control console. Marcus and Juno followed. Without waiting for permission, Marcus interfaced with the docking system. His fingers flew over the controls, rerouting energy, adjusting tractor beams, and stabilizing the cargo ship. Within minutes, the threat was neutralized. The Empire officers who had been panicking stared in disbelief. One muttered, "They saved us. Without authority, without fear." Lena shrugged. "Humans adapt. We solve problems." Word of the incident spread across the station. Citizens began to see humans not as weak outsiders, but as efficient, calm, and resourceful beings. Their unshakable demeanor became a symbol of reliability in chaos, a trait almost alien in itself. By evening, Therian attempted a more formal lecture. "Captain Holt, humans, your behavior disrupts our order. You must conform to the Empire's standards." Lena listened patiently. Then she asked, "Therian, why are your standards so rigid? Do they make things better, or just look perfect on paper?" Therian blinked. "They ensure control and prevent chaos." Marcus leaned in, smiling. "Humans have a different approach. We trust each other, experiment, and stay calm. That prevents chaos, too." Therian looked flustered. He had never heard an argument like this. It wasn't rebellion. It wasn't disrespect. It was confidence, combined with calm curiosity. The next day, the humans were invited to a formal reception, a chance for high-ranking officials to observe them. Many species attended: reptilian, insectoid, aquatic, and even energy-based life forms. The humans mingled without hesitation. They asked questions, tasted alien foods, complimented strange outfits, and laughed freely. One human accidentally spilled a drink on a ceremonial robe. Gasps filled the room. Lena calmly handed the nearest officer a napkin and helped clean it up. "Humans are fearless?" whispered one official to another. "Unfazed," the other replied. "And somehow charming." The humans didn't realize the ripple effect they were creating. Across the Empire, citizens and officials began rethinking their perception of authority and tradition. Humans treated every encounter as an opportunity to learn, connect, and adapt rather than fear, obey, or dominate. By the third day, humans were allowed limited access to research facilities. Marcus immediately began tinkering with old machinery. Lena studied architectural designs, and Juno observed communication systems. Empire scientists approached cautiously. They understand concepts we taught for decades, instantly. Intuition, Lena explained casually. Humans notice patterns and improvise. It's why we survive in space, oceans, and deserts. Makes life interesting. The scientists whispered among themselves. For the first time, they realized humans might be capable of thinking in ways the Empire had never considered. That night, the humans gathered on the observation deck again. Stars glittered like jewels beyond the transparent surface of the station. You know, Marcus said, stretching, we could probably leave at any time. They like us, but they don't understand us. Lena smiled. We don't really belong here yet, but that's okay. We're humans. Wherever we go, we leave. Small shockwaves. Juno laughed softly. Shockwaves that confuse an entire empire. Exactly, Lena said. And remember, curiosity is our weapon, calm is our armor, and improvisation is our shield. That's why humans remain unfazed. The empire had no idea what it had just welcomed. Humans, unafraid and endlessly curious, had begun to plant seeds of change in every corner of the station. Not through force, not through intimidation, but simply by being themselves. For the first time, citizens of the Galactic Empire realized that the universe might not belong only to them. It belonged to those who dared to adapt, explore, and remain unshaken. Humans. And humans, as always, were ready. The Galactic Empire had grown restless. Rumors of humans' fearless behavior spread quickly through the central station, reaching every officer, administrator, and citizen. Their casual disregard for protocol, their calm confidence, and their uncanny ability to solve problems unnerved many, but fascinated others. Captain Lena Holt and her crew had settled into a routine, walking freely through the station, asking questions, observing, and occasionally tinkering with things they found interesting. The Empire's liaison, Therion, had long given up scolding them. He now followed them silently, muttering under his breath, trying to keep a semblance of order in a system that seemed to bend around the humans' presence. But not all corners of the Empire welcomed this change. A rogue faction, dissatisfied with the Emperor's rule, saw an opportunity in the humans. These humans, whispered one of their leaders, a tall, dark-scaled alien named Creven, are unpredictable. If we capture them, we can use them to challenge the Emperor. No one can predict what humans will do. We can manipulate that. Creven's plan was simple. Kidnap the humans, hold them as leverage, and destabilize the Emperor's authority. His forces moved quietly, deploying ships and agents to intercept the Aurora Dawn. On the human ship, Lena was oblivious to the plot. The crew was engaged in one of their favorite pastimes, exploring the Empire's vast databanks for knowledge, technology, and recipes. Marcus had found instructions for repairing a damaged cargo freighter in the lower docks. Juno was examining alien communication protocols. Lena, as usual, wandered through the station freely, enjoying the simple pleasure of observing new species interacting. Therion, however, was tense. Captain Holt, you should return to the ship immediately. I have received unsettling reports. Reports? Lena raised an eyebrow. About what? Therion hesitated. There are groups attempting unauthorized entry near your ship. I believe it may be hostile. Lena smiled. Sounds like an adventure. Let's go check it out. Meanwhile, Creven's agents moved with precision. Cloaked ships approached the docking bay silently. They deployed small boarding pods, each filled with highly trained soldiers. The humans, of course, were completely unaware. When the first boarding pod attached to the Aurora Dawn, the crew was calmly enjoying a cup of synthetic tea. Lena looked up from her cup and saw the tiny vessel. Looks like someone's visiting, she said casually. Maybe they want tea too? Marcus laughed. Or maybe a polite conversation. The pods detached automatically and forced open an access hatch. Creven's soldiers stormed the ship. They were ready for resistance, expecting panic and fear. Instead, they found humans standing calmly, hands behind their backs, smiling politely. Lena tilted her head. Can I help you? The lead soldier froze. You're not afraid? Afraid of what? Lena asked. You're here. You want something. Let's talk. The human's calm, confident demeanor immediately threw the soldiers off. They had been trained to intimidate, to provoke fear, but these humans were entirely unshaken. The situation escalated quickly, but in unexpected ways. One soldier attempted to grab Marcus. Marcus sidestepped, then casually tapped the soldier on the shoulder, redirecting his balance. The man stumbled harmlessly into a wall. Another soldier drew a weapon, aiming at Lena. She raised her hands, smiling. Please don't make things complicated, she said. We're happy to cooperate, but let's not hurt anyone. Before the soldiers could react, Juno activated the ship's systems. Tractor beams engaged, locking the boarding pods in place. Small repairs Marcus had made to the ship's internal systems days ago suddenly allowed automated defenses to move in. Soft nets, magnetic restraints, and gentle immobilizers. No one was hurt, but the invaders were trapped. The Empire's liaison, Therion, arrived moments later with reinforcements, flanking the humans' position. Krivan's soldiers were forced to surrender, not because the humans attacked them, but because humans' calm improvisation had neutralized the threat. Lena smirked. See? Humans adapt. We solve problems. And sometimes that looks like heroism. Therion shook his head in disbelief. I cannot believe what I just witnessed. You did all this without firing a weapon. Exactly, Lena said. Humans don't panic. We think, act, and adjust. That's how we survive. The news of the incident spread rapidly. Empire officials, scientists, and citizens marveled at the humans' unintentional heroism. To many, it seemed like humans had some kind of innate advantage, calm in the face of danger, resourceful in problem-solving, and surprisingly persuasive without raising their voices. A council member approached the Emperor's audience chamber. Your Majesty, the humans, they are extraordinary. They face threats without fear. They improvise. They solve problems that our best-trained officers cannot. The Emperor, an imposing figure with piercing golden eyes, leaned forward. Unfazed, you say? Yes, Your Majesty, completely unfazed. And citizens are taking note. Their presence is changing the perception of order in the Empire. The Emperor's gaze was thoughtful. Interesting. Perhaps it is time to meet these humans personally. Back on the Aurora Dawn, Lena and her crew were relaxing after the incident. Marcus was examining one of the captured boarding pods, curious about the technology. Why do they assume force works on everyone? He asked. They have rules, protocols, weapons, but we just exist, and it doesn't matter. Lena leaned back in her chair. That's humans for you. We survive by adapting, staying calm, and using our brains. Other species rely on fear, intimidation, or control. That works for them, until it meets humans. Juno shook her head. I still can't believe how easy that was. It felt like we were dancing with chaos, and chaos was polite enough not to step on our toes. Lena laughed. Exactly. And that's the advantage humans have. We don't panic. Even when the odds are against us, we adapt. The next few days were filled with curiosity and observation. Humans walked freely through the station again, now accompanied by Therion and a few cautious officers assigned for protection. Everywhere they went, beings whispered, watched, and speculated. A small group of young alien engineers approached Marcus. Your species, you think differently. You do not follow standard procedures, yet your methods work. Marcus grinned. We call it improvisation. You should try it sometime. The engineers were fascinated, and over the course of several hours, Marcus demonstrated simple techniques to improve efficiency without breaking any rules. His methods worked better than the Empire's standard procedures in some cases, proving that humans' flexibility was more effective than rigid protocols. Meanwhile, Lena and Juno visited the station's cultural archives. They asked questions about alien languages, histories, and philosophies. Citizens were surprised to see humans absorbing information, asking questions politely, and sharing their own experiences. By the end of the week, humans were no longer just curiosities. They were symbols. Their calm, unshaken demeanor inspired admiration, curiosity, and even envy. Krivan's coup attempt, of course, had failed without human awareness. Every maneuver, every sabotage, every hidden plot had been quietly thwarted, not by force but by humans' natural behaviors. Walking through restricted areas, asking simple questions, or casually adjusting machinery. These small acts, combined with their confidence, disrupted the rogue faction's plans. When Krivan realized his plan had failed, he was furious. How could humans, he growled, They did nothing, and yet everything failed. It was true. The humans' unshakable calm had made them impossible to manipulate. Every plot, every scheme, every attempt to control them was undone simply because they were humans, adaptable, curious, and fearless. By the end of Part 3, the Empire's view of humans had shifted dramatically. Officials, soldiers, and citizens alike understood one truth. Humans were a force unlike any other, not because of weapons, technology, or numbers, but because of their spirit. Their unshaken confidence and ability to improvise had not only saved themselves, but had prevented chaos from overtaking the station. As night fell over the central hub, Lena, Marcus, and Juno gathered in the observation deck. Stars shimmered beyond the transparent surface, reflecting off the polished floors. "You know," Marcus said, stretching, "humans might just be the most effective species in the galaxy." Lena laughed. "Effectiveness comes from being unafraid, resourceful, and ready to adapt. That's how we thrive. That's why humans remain unfazed." Juno nodded. "And we've just made the Empire notice. Not by force, but by simply being ourselves." Lena looked out at the stars, her eyes calm and thoughtful. "The Emperor wants to meet us now. That'll be interesting." The humans were about to step into the highest chamber of the Empire, still unfazed, still curious, still human. And the Empire would never be the same. For the first time, the ruling powers understood that strength was not always in dominance. It was in calm, adaptability, and the quiet confidence of humans who refused to fear. The Emperor's audience chamber was massive beyond belief. Towers of shimmering crystal rose high into the vaulted ceiling, and holographic projections of distant stars swirled across the walls. Alien guards lined the walls, standing motionless, their attention sharp and unwavering. The humans, Captain Lena Holt, Marcus, and Juno, stood at the entrance, unshaken. Therian hovered nervously beside them, whispering, "Captain, remember, this is the Emperor. Every word, every gesture, must reflect respect." Lena tilted her head, considering his words. "Respect is fine. But fear? Not on my watch." They stepped forward. The Emperor sat upon a throne-like platform, his golden eyes scanning them with curiosity and authority. His presence was overwhelming, radiating power that had kept entire star systems in line for decades. "You are the humans," the Emperor said, his voice deep and resonant. "I have heard much. You walk unafraid in my empire. You ignore rules, protocols, and tradition. And yet, you have survived and even influenced events." Lena smiled politely. "We're humans. We adapt. We survive. We notice problems and try to fix them. It's not about defying authority, it's about thinking." The Emperor's golden eyes narrowed slightly. "Thinking differently. That is what makes you dangerous. And yet, you are not attacking. You are curious." "Curiosity is our nature," Marcus said. "We ask questions because we want to learn, not to cause trouble. We solve problems because, well, we like solving problems." The Emperor leaned back, studying them. No human had ever spoken so plainly or so confidently in his presence. Most species would cower, over-explain, or attempt flattery. These humans were calm, direct, and entirely unfazed. "Tell me," the Emperor continued, "why did you not panic when confronted by rogue forces, when your ship was threatened?" Lena stepped forward, hands lightly clasped. "Fear doesn't help. Panicking clouds judgment. Calm observation, improvisation, and trust in your own abilities, that's what keeps humans alive. We've faced storms, pirates, and disasters before. The same rules apply everywhere, even here." Juno added, "We don't need to dominate anyone. We just focus on what needs to be done and act. That's enough." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. His advisors shifted uneasily, sensing that something unprecedented was unfolding. One by one, they realized humans had a mindset that defied the Empire's carefully constructed order, but it was effective, inspiring, and most of all, unfailing. Over the next hour, Lena and her crew discussed with the Emperor a range of topics: starship design, resource management, interstellar trade, and cultural practices. Their questions were simple, direct, and surprisingly insightful. Why do you limit creativity in ship design? Lena asked. Efficiency is important, but innovation often solves problems faster than standardization. Have you considered letting engineers experiment more? An advisor tried to answer, but the Emperor gestured for silence. Your observations are accurate. We have been limiting flexibility in favor of order. Yet your methods have proven effective. You improve efficiency without chaos. Marcus demonstrated a simple engineering method he had used to repair a damaged freighter. Even without advanced Empire technology, his solution worked flawlessly, reducing energy loss by a measurable amount. The Emperor's engineers were astonished. No one in the Empire had combined creativity and logic so effectively before. You humans think in ways we cannot, the Emperor said. Your adaptability is remarkable, and you do this without fear. It is alien. Lena smiled. We don't try to be alien. We just survive, and we learn as we go. That's what humans do best. The audience continued, shifting to politics and social organization. Lena asked questions that revealed inefficiencies in governance, trade, and communication. Every question was framed respectfully, yet pointed enough to make the Emperor reconsider long-held policies. Your laws are impressive, Lena said, but some of them slow progress. Some traditions prevent citizens from solving problems efficiently. Is it possible to keep order while giving more freedom to innovate? The Emperor leaned back, thoughtful. No one has ever phrased it this way or asked this question directly. You speak plainly, yet your words reveal truth. Juno added, humans focus on results, not appearances. If a method works, we use it. If it doesn't, we fix it. Fear or respect doesn't matter, only the outcome. For the first time, the Emperor saw the potential of humans as partners, not threats. Their unique combination of curiosity, calm, and adaptability had not only prevented chaos but inspired reflection on the Empire's future. By mid-evening, the Emperor requested a demonstration of human methods. Marcus, Lena, and Juno moved to a training area where engineers were attempting a complex simulation, a trade network overloaded with data, suffering repeated malfunctions. Marcus stepped forward, touching the controls, adjusting flows and rerouting connections. Within minutes, the system stabilized, running more efficiently than ever before. Engineers and officials watched in disbelief. You improved what decades of work could not? One engineer whispered. Lena smiled. Humans improvise. We observe, adapt, and solve problems. That's how we survive, whether in storms, battles, or bureaucracy. The Emperor nodded slowly. It is astonishing. Your methods are simple, yet effective. Calm, adaptability, and curiosity. These traits could change the Empire. After the demonstration, the Emperor invited Lena and her crew to dine in the Grand Hall. Alien chefs presented dishes from across the galaxy, yet the humans sampled everything fearlessly, commenting politely on flavors, textures, and combinations. Their genuine curiosity impressed every guest. During the meal, discussions turned to culture. Lena asked questions about Empire philosophy, history, and ethics. Juno noted patterns in governance and communication that could be improved. Marcus asked about technological designs that seemed unnecessarily complex. The Emperor, listening to these conversations, began to see a new possibility. Humans were not just surviving, they were teaching without intending to, inspiring improvement in every area they touched. As the evening progressed, the humans prepared to leave. They had been invited to stay longer, but Lena knew their mission was done. They had demonstrated that human spirit, unafraid, adaptable, and endlessly curious, could influence even the most rigid systems. The Emperor addressed them personally. Captain Holt, Marcus, Juno, you have shown that strength is not only in power, technology, or numbers. It is in the ability to remain calm, adapt, and think clearly under pressure. You have changed my perspective, and perhaps the Empire itself. Lena bowed lightly. We're glad to help. Humans don't seek to dominate. We just exist, adapt, and improve where we can. That's our way. The Emperor's golden eyes softened. Then go, humans. But know this. Your presence here has left a mark. The Empire will consider your methods, your courage, and your unshaken spirit in every decision from now on. Juno whispered to Lena as they left. Do you think the Empire will actually change? Lena smiled. I don't know, but we planted the seed. Sometimes that's enough. Back on the Aurora Dawn, the crew relaxed under the stars. Marcus leaned against the console, stretching. You know, he said, we didn't fight anyone, we didn't dominate, and yet we influenced the entire Empire. That's kind of incredible. Lena laughed. It is, and it proves a simple truth. Humans thrive because we adapt, think, and stay calm. Fear doesn't control us. Authority doesn't intimidate us. We act, we solve, and we survive. That's why we remain unfazed. Juno looked out at the stars, smiling. And maybe one day the Empire will realize that being unfazed is a kind of power all its own. Exactly, Lena said. Humans don't conquer by force. We conquer by being ourselves, curious, adaptable, and fearless. The stars outside glittered like jewels, vast and endless, and the Aurora Dawn drifted quietly, carrying its crew, humans, unafraid and undaunted, ready for the next adventure. Across the Galactic Empire, systems and citizens would remember the humans who walked among them calmly, laughed in the face of danger, and solved problems without weapons. These humans had not only survived, they had inspired change. And that, Lena thought, was what made humans extraordinary. The Empire would never forget them, and humans, as always, remained completely unfazed.